What's up, y'all? Nolan here. Today I'm gonna review another shoe. These bad boys right here. Vibram KSO EVO. Dogs out. So, let's get on with my overall impressions. This shoe is my favorite shoe to run in. I have a pair of KSO Treks. I have a pair of Zero Terraflex. I have a pair of Bikila LS. But this KSO EVO is my favorite for running and training at the gym. And I'll tell you why. So, first of all, traction, sole. You can see it here. It's super grippy. Yeah, so I gotta squeak right now, but it'll squeak on tiles, like in the supermarket, or it'll squeak on hard wood gym floors. Super grippy. My experience, I've run in the mud, on rocks. I usually typically go slower over these elements and take shorter steps, but I haven't had any problems. So yeah, the traction and the sole is great. I've worn them for probably like 50 miles now, and hasn't really worn down much. Smoothed out a little bit, I guess, but nothing significant, nothing that I would be like, oh, noticeable wear. So there's that. Toe box. As you know, Vibrams have individual toes, and these fit great. I would compare it to the original KSO or the classic as far as fit. The V Run, however, fits in the toes a little longer than these. I couldn't actually fit the V Run no matter what size I got. I ended up having to give up on those. The 44 was too long, the 43 was too small, so I just had to send them back. Couldn't do it. The KSO EVO, however, fits great. But with that, as far as sizing, Vibram's site, they have a US recommended size chart, and I find that to be off by just one size. So I'm an 11.5, and according to the US site, it says I should be 45. But if you look at like the EU site, they actually measure your feet, and I find that size chart a little better. But I'm 11.5 in Nike's, Adidas, and I wear 44s in Vibrams, KSO EVO, and in the Classic. So that's what I found, and the Bikila LS. So yeah, weight, super lightweight, lighter than the Classic, with just as much ground feel as the Classic, if not more. These are supposedly Vibram's thinnest soles that they have available. Their true ground feel philosophy, I think is what they call it. So this is as barefoot as you can get without being barefoot. Comfort and break-in, super comfortable. They did take a little bit of time to break in. Like the first day, I thought that the material was kind of not as stretchy as the older models. I thought it was kind of unforgiving in the stretch, but after wearing it for a couple days, going on a few runs, it kind of loosened up to my foot, and now it fits great. Just give it a couple days. Normally you don't need break-in with these, but I find after a couple days they fit a lot better. Support and lockdown. As you can see, it's got the lacing system, as many Vibrams do, and it's good. I usually go loose in the gym or just wearing them around, but if I'm going to go on a run and I'm going to go on some trails, I'll tighten them up a bit, so that way in case I get wet and my feet aren't sliding around or anything. And also, I have worn them in the water, like canoeing, and so getting in and out of the water, I make sure that they're tightened, because water get in there to pull it off your foot. But with that said, being in the water, they don't have the best drainage, so sometimes you can kind of feel sloshy in there. Not too long, it'll drain out, but I find my toes get wrinkly and soggy. I'm curious to try the V Aqua, see if that helps at all. But I mean, they do work great in the water. I didn't have any issues. So if you were using them for that, take that as it is. Flexibility. These are the most flexible shoes you could probably buy, other than like maybe Urix or Warachis, or however you pronounce that. This is about as flexible as you can get. Roll it up, fold it in half, put it in the side pocket of your backpack, whatever. Looks, I think this is the best looking Vibram, however you want to pronounce that. I usually say Vibram, but sometimes I say Vibram. I don't know. But as far as looks, I think it's the best looking, mainly because it's the most subtle. It looks most like a normal shoe. You don't get all the looks, which I'm not real fond of. People think that the toe shoes are weird. I just like them because they're comfortable. I don't want everybody looking at them, you know. I mean, I'll talk about them, but I prefer, you know, when I'm at the gym, I don't want people coming up to me and being like, hey, what are those? So they're just subtle. That's why I like them. The tech and materials, it's like mesh upper with some like reinforced rubber, I guess, around areas where you don't want your foot to move as much. But it's a really breathable mesh. It's kind of stiff compared to like the KSO or the Classic as far as stretch, but it does stretch out, and it's just tight enough that it gives you a secure fit in there. You don't feel like you're gonna stretch out of them or anything. And the tech, I mean, you can look up the tech online. They got like names for all their soles and the material, but I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's mesh, and the padding is the padding of the tongue is, it's got a little bit of padding, which makes it pretty comfy actually. The lacing system's just basic. So yeah, really breathable. I've worn them in the summer hot days, and it's still okay. The black is not ideal for a hot summer, but I don't even really notice it because the airflow is still coming through. So sizing, we already touched on that. Durability. So these are $100 shoes. You know, when you get $100 shoes, you want them to be durable, right? And they are. They're great. The sole is really great. The sole is magnificent. Like the sole makes it worth it. But the only thing that I have is with a few of my Vibrams, I tend to get this little sole separation here. They glue the sole to the upper. It'd be nice if they would stitch it on there, but I'm sure that costs a lot more. But I get this little bit of sole separation. This was after the second day of wearing them out on the river. I took them in a canoe and they got all wet, you know. And then I did go against the recommendations, and I left them in the sun to dry for probably like 25 minutes. And then when I put them back on, they had this little separation in the sole. And I was like, oh man, like I ruined them. But I mean, it hasn't gotten any worse since then, and it doesn't really bug me at all. Like, I don't really notice it. But I still sent an email to Vibram when it happened, and I just said, hey, you know, I took them out on the river, and I did let them dry in the sun. You know, is this my fault, or could this be covered under warranty? I'm just looking for some suggestions. And they said, yeah, I think that'd be covered under warranty. And they said, we'll send you a new pair, but you can go ahead and keep those. And I was like, oh, great, okay, cool. So they sent me a new pair right here in the box still, actually. Haven't even worn them. So yeah, I got another pair for free because my sole separated and I reached out. So, I mean, their customer service is great. It just sketched me out a little bit. As you can see, it came apart on the other shoe too, on the outside. And I use shoe glue on the inside. So shoe glue helps. But, I mean, you do get this sole separation. And it really, you don't even notice it if you're just wearing them, you know. But if you look at them, you can see it. So that's the only bad thing I would say is these soles tend to separate a little bit. But it hasn't gone outside of these high bend areas. So it's these high bend areas where it separates and it hasn't really spread yet. So I'm a few months in, about 50 miles and a few canoe trips, and they're great other than that sole separation, but I would say it's totally worth it to spend the $100. And Vibram is great about customer service, so if you reach out, they might replace them for you if you have the same problems as me. So for me, I'm just going to keep wearing these till they wear out or the sole completely comes off or something, and then I have a backup pair on hand. So I'm happy with my purchase. I think it's totally worth it. You decide the rest. Thanks, guys.